Yeah, welcome back to another installment of a multi-part series that I'm currently producing entitled Newspapers from the Haitian Revolution. In this series, we dig up newspaper articles from over 200 years ago from the Haitian Revolutionary time period. Listen, historical documents, historical texts that you never see anywhere else. Right now, I believe we are on part 7. This would be the 7th installment. In fact, take a look up on the screen. You'll see part 1, the legendary story about the King of Haiti celebrating Independence Day in 1814. Fire. Part 2, France sent a spy to Haiti in 1814. God rest his soul. Fire. Part 3, newspaper from 1816 discussing the downfall of Toussaint Louverture. Part 4, the Queen of Haiti birthday celebration 1816. Probably the greatest video that I ever dropped on my channel. Check that one out. Part 5, the brutality of the French during the Haitian Revolution. We spoke about the many crimes committed by the French colonial army during the war. And part 6, the one we uploaded, I believe it was yesterday or the day before, the King of Haiti versus President James Madison. In that video, we discussed a diplomatic incident and political incident between the King of Haiti, the King of France, and the President of the United States of America, as well as an American captain. Go check that out, man. Just go check that out. That's a crazy episode. Anyways, in this one, though, we're going to jump into some more action. In this article, we jumped all the way to the end of 1817. In another incident between the Haitian government and the United States government. As you know, before we jump into the main article, let's read the summary. And the source of this article is actually coming from the National Library of Denmark. Yeah, bro. I don't even know, man. I'm telling you, these articles are all over the place, man. They in the United States, they down in Washington, they in France, they in London, they in Ireland. Bro, it's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. Anyways, let's read the summary. October 10th, 1817. Today's issue is the 9th to appear in 1817, meaning that there were 3 additional issues published between the present issue, dated October 10th, and the previous issue to appear on this site, dated August 14th, which is listed as issue number 5. Present number details the infamous Septimus Taylor episode, whereby the government of Christophe refused to negotiate with this U.S. agent sent by John Quincy Adams, because Taylor did not recognize Christophe as a sovereign ruler, on the one hand, and on the other hand, because the documents in Taylor's possession meant to open negotiations about some cargo Christophe had seized from U.S. merchants back in 1812, referred to Haiti as Saint-Domingue, and Cap Henry as Cap Français. This issue also details how Haitians freed a ship of captive Africans destined for slavery elsewhere in the Americas, the Haitian military's capture of the ship, and the government's subsequent release of 145 of our unfortunate brothers, victims of greed and the odious traffic in human flesh. A much less celebratory article describes the death in Paris of Christophe's son, Ferdinand. This account of young Ferdinand's death adds a detail that is not in Baron de Vasty's rendition of these events published in his Political Reflections from 1817. Here we learn that Christophe's son had been allegedly poisoned in Paris on the orders of the French government. This issue finishes with a poem by Juste Chanlat, the Comte de Rosier, and a printing of the customary trade statistics. Now, time out. If you watch my previous episodes and my previous playlist, then you already know that Christophe's firstborn son was kidnapped and he was killed by the French government in the year 1805. So this wasn't a recent thing in 1817. They're probably just, reminiscing on the old tragedy. But anyways, let's get into the article, man. Apparently, the article starts out with a small paragraph from a publication out of New York. Let's get into it. Dated September 8th, 1817. Captain Fisher, who left Haiti on the 14th of last month, assured us that the frigate, the Congress, was well received there, and that Mr. Taylor and the officers of the frigate were very well received by the authorities of this city, and that all kinds of politeness and attention were lavished upon them, and that the only cause which prevented an exchange of the salute was that the governor could not return it without the permission of the king, who was absent from the palace. The frigate was permitted to take all kinds of provisions and refreshments without paying the dues to which merchant vessels are subject. Captain Fisher believes that the certificate of appointment from the American government, which was presented by Mr. Taylor to the interpreter at Cap Henry, bearing Cap Français, Saint-Domingue, is the only cause which has prevented the progress of the mission with which he was charged. Now, time out. I believe during this time in the United States government, President James Madison was currently in power, and the Secretary of State was John Quincy Adams, the person who sent this agent over to Haiti. And if you watch my last installment, I believe it was called The King of Haiti versus President James Madison, we spoke about how the French government sent a letter to Haiti, but because the French government did not refer to Haiti in the letter as the Kingdom of Haiti, instead they referred to it as the French colony of Saint-Domingue, the letter was rejected unopened and sent back to the captain of the French ship. Now, about a year later, 1817, now the American government is sending a letter over to Christophe, but because President James Madison or Secretary of State John Quincy Adams, whoever was in charge of sending this letter over, they also, in the same fashion as the French, referred to Haiti as the French colony. So, same thing happened again. The letter was rejected, unopened, and sent back. And as we read in the summary, I believe this letter has to do with an incident that happened back in 1812, about 5 years prior. If y'all watch my documentary on King Henry Christophe in my playlist section entitled The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years, then you already know about that story between Christophe and the American government, right? Christophe had ended up losing a large sum of money and investment gone bad with some American bankers, right? So in order to retrieve the funds that he lost, he seized the assets of American merchants currently operating in Haiti, right? Foreign merchants currently living in the capital. I believe he seized their assets worth at around $125,000 back in 1812. So if we calculate what it would be worth today, that would be around somewhere between $3 million to $4 million. So the American government, John Quincy Adams, had sent this Captain Taylor over to negotiate with Christophe in regards to that large amount of money that he confiscated from American merchants back in 1812. But because the letter was not properly, the letter did not refer to Haiti in its proper terms, right? The Kingdom of Haiti. They referred to it as the Colony of Saint-Domingue, Cap Français, instead of the new capital name, which is Cap Henry. The governor of the city treated them the same way they treated the French back in 1816 in the previous episode, sent back the letter unopened back to where it came from. Until you learn how to address us properly as men with respect and dignity, we ain't accepting the letter. You dig what I'm saying? This was back when black leaders, they had pride and dignity and a backbone. You know, they don't have the same pride and dignity and a backbone anymore in the present day, man. They soft today. They soft and spineless today. But back in the day, black men was men when it came to the political arena. It is what it is. I don't know what happened though. But anyways, man, let's get back into the article. Now, the first part of the article, it attached a publication from New York, speaking from the American point of view. Now, the second part of the article is a response from the Haitian government, I guess, back to the American government. Now, let's get into it. Official notice. To dispel the doubts that the arrival of the American frigate, the Congress, in the port of the capital, having had Mr. Taylor on board, could give rise to and also remove all grounds for calumny to the enemies of Haiti, we are authorized to publish the following documents. A government strong in itself by its principles of wisdom and justice is not afraid to make known the truth. One will see in these documents the desire that our government has demonstrated to establish relations of commerce and friendship with the government of the United States of America. However, that they would be based on political relations, customs, and reciprocity, which must exist from government to government. It will be seen there that if the safe, lucrative, and advantageous trade which has existed for more than 25 years between the two nations has had not a further degree of extension, it has depended solely on the government of the United States of America. Now, in the next part of the article, it attached a letter written by the Haitian Minister of Foreign Affairs to the King's Secretary and Interpreter, Baon Dupuy. This is one of the King's, right-hand mans, right? One of the King's right-hand mans, Baon de Bastille. This is Baon Dupuy, right? So this is a letter written from the Minister of Foreign Affairs to Baon Dupuy, the Secretary to the King. So this is one Haitian government official writing to another Haitian government official. Let's get into it. Dated August 1st, 1817. From the Palace of Gonrivière, Minister of Foreign Affairs, to Baon Dupuy, Secretary and Interpreter to the King. I have received your letter of yesterday, which announces to me the arrival of the American frigate, the Congress, in the port of the capital with Mr. Taylor, who announced himself as agent for the commerce of the United States. On learning of the arrival of Mr. Taylor, I expected to receive dispatches from his government and letters which accredited him to the court of Haiti. But I was strangely surprised by the fine report you made to me, and that he was only carrying one simple certificate lying in unusual, inadmissible terms, and moreover containing the words of Cap Français and of the island of Saint-Domingue, expressions improper and insulting to the government of His Majesty. Notwithstanding His Majesty's desire to see relations of commerce and friendship established between the two governments, I am under the necessity of instructing you to notify Mr. Taylor that he cannot be received and considered as a commercial agent, not being provided with authentic documents in good and due form, which sufficiently accredit him with the government of Haiti. As Mr. Taylor is doubtless ignorant of the usages established in the kingdom for diplomatic communications from government to government, you will acquaint him with them and give him a copy of the King's Declaration, dated November 20th, 1816. I regret that His Majesty, being on tour at this time, cannot give an audience to Mr. Taylor and the captain of the American frigate as they desire. I have the honor to greet you with consideration. Signed, Le Comte de Limonade. In the next part of the article, I believe there is a letter written by James Monroe to the government of Haiti. So let's get into that. Let's get into it. To all those whom these presents will see, hello. I certify that Septimus Taylor, Esquire, was appointed by the President of the United States to reside at Cap Français in the island of Saint-Domingue as commercial and naval agent of the United States of America with full power and privilege. In testimony whereof, I, James Monroe, Secretary of State of the United States, have here subscribed my name and caused the seals of the Department of State to be affixed thereto, given in the city of Washington, December 18th, 1816. Signed, James Monroe. Now, remember, this letter was dated 1816, almost a year before this article was published. Back then, James Monroe was Secretary of State in late 1816. Now, fast forward to late 1817, John Quincy Adams is now Secretary of State. Now, in the next part of the article, it returns to the perspective or the point of view of the Haitian government, right? The author or the editor of the newspaper. Okay, let's go. Some persons have testified to their astonishment at the fact that the foreign vessels which enter our ports do not receive the return of the salutation which they make on their arrival, according to the custom established among the nations. As these persons could attribute to their motives the order which has been given on this subject, we believe we should inform them that the government has only been led to take this measure by the motives of a wise and prudent economy. Indeed, the vessels which continually enter and leave our ports, the warships of friendly nations, which hold to take provisions and refreshment, would cause us a great consumption of powder, if it were necessary that we return their greetings to them whenever we receive them. These resources are a precious object for our conservation. Accordingly, the Minister of War and Marine has ordered that the usual salute shall only be given to warships of a friendly or allied nation when dispatched by the government with dispatches or on official missions to the Haitian government, and that differently, the return of the greeting would be done in any other way, in good manners, compliments, and courtesies, rather than spending powder. By an effect of providence, which always protects the unfortunate, we have just had the happiness of delivering from slavery 145 of our unfortunate brothers, victims of greed and the odious traffic in human flesh. The boat under the Portuguese flag, the Mary Jose, of 120 tons, Captain Joás Feliciano, leaving Bonavista, one of the islands of Cape Verde, supposedly going to Cuba, Havana, was chased away by a British warship and was forced to enter our port to escape the pursuit, and doubtless believing to find there a refuge and accomplices to favor his illegal trade, atrocious and criminal. The supercargo of the boat having died in the crossing, and the captain sick on board with the fever, the product of this infamous traffic, a punishment which often strikes the executioners like the unfortunates who are its unfortunate victims, the boatswain, sole commander on board, declared that the boat had been sent from Bonavista to Brazil. But when the captain saw himself dangerously ill, he confided in him that the real destination was for Havana in the island of Cuba. The papers of the boat were immediately checked, and it was found to be the same, whose original name was the Rôdeur, French corsair, belonging supposedly to Elisha Field, an American citizen, already seized and condemned at Sierra Leone, and then sold to said captain for the sum of 375 pounds sterling. And it appears that this individual, whom we do not dare call the name of a man, inclined to continue his illegal traffic, had traveled from Sierra Leone to Bonavista to hide his illegal and criminal trade. He had supposedly sold his boat to a man named Joás Coelho, under whose name he loaded the unfortunate victims who are to be sold in Cuba. We read in the Courier from London on the 27th of March and in the Journal de Débat on April 1st that His Majesty's colonial brig, the Prince Regent, had captured the Portuguese boat, the Rôdeur, coming from Cayenne, and having on board 80 slaves, and that this prize had entered Sierra Leone on the 26th of January, which confirms to us that this boat is the same as the Rôdeur brought to our port by Providence to put an end to this horrible traffic. As soon as the authorities of Cap Henry learned what this boat was, officers were dispatched on board to visit and deliver the unfortunate women from their captivity. You cannot imagine what a terrible state they were in. In part, these unfortunates had already died in the crossing by bad treatment and lack of food. Those who had survived looked like specters ready to die of misery and starvation. In this situation, they were still chained to the boat for several days. They had been reduced to half a ration of rice a day. It was the only provision they had on board, and the water they drank was totally corrupt. The Haitians hastened to remove their irons, telling them they were free and among brothers and compatriots. It is impossible to imagine the joy which animated these unfortunate people. They threw themselves on their knees to thank their brothers and their liberators. They shed tears. The Haitians, moved by this touching scene, also cried. The executioners alone were insensitive and regretted seeing their prey snatched away. As soon as our benevolent sovereign was informed of these circumstances, he ordered that clothes be made to clothe these unfortunate Africans who are naked by hand, men, women, and children. Christophe ordered that they be disembarked immediately in the town of Limbe in a healthy and ventilated place to receive there all the care and all the possible help. 2 surgeons were sent there with medicines to treat them and cure them of their illnesses. In spite of all the care that was given to them, several died. So badly were they treated on board, and it will be very difficult to be able to save the others. The Gourlette affair is now pending before the Admiralty Court of Cap Henry. We will give an account of the judgment that will be rendered by the court. We hope that they will find the means to prevent this boat from returning for the third time, engaging in this horrible, abominable trade, forbidden by the laws of nations and contrary to nature, justice, and humanity. Now, time out. Like I said, if you went to my playlist session and you checked out my documentary, The Most Powerful Black Man of the Last 500 Years, then you already know many times on multiple occasions, the Haitian government captured European slave vessels and rescued those on board. This was just one time, but it happened multiple times for many years. As we know, the British Royal Navy was patrolling the seas during this time, trying to enforce the abolition of the slave trade. So this illegal Portuguese boat was cruising the seas, and then it got chased. It got chased by the British Royal Navy. It was in hot pursuit. They thought they could run to Haiti. You know, they thought it was safe. They thought they could seek refuge in Haiti, run away from the British Royal Navy. Hell nah, man. We ran up in that boat, man. Guns drawn, everything, man. And it was black women up in there chained up, black men up in there chained up, black children up in there chained up, naked, about to die, hungry, dehydrated, sick, thirsty. And if you notice in the article, it said that the Europeans were insensitive. They were angry. They were angry to see their victims snatched away. They were angry to see their property snatched away. And yes, of course, we locked that bitch ass nigga up. We locked the captain of the ship up. Yeah, bitch ass nigga. Yeah. How you gonna run into a Haitian port? How you gonna run up inside a Haitian port with a bunch of slaves on board, bro? What you think was about to happen, man? Like, you can't just be running up on a Haitian port in the early 1800s, man, when Christophe in power, and you think you gonna run up in Haitian waters with a slave ship? Bro, you lucky you only got locked up. You lucky you ain't get killed on the spot, my boy. You lucky you didn't get killed immediately. Man, you lucky, man. You lucky we had to go tend to our brothers and our sisters. We had to go, get them, we had to get them clothed and get some food for them, get some water for them, put them in a nice ventilated place. You lucky we were busy, man. You would have got killed, man. You would have got killed fucking around, man. Anyways, let's jump back into the article. During the Feast of Saint Michel, patron saint of the king's aide-de-camp, which was celebrated at the Citadel with the greatest magnificence, nothing caused a greater sensation than the heroic action of our two young royal princesses. Their Majesties, the royal family, followed by a brilliant and numerous court, visited the different batteries of the Citadel, arrived at that of Prince Ferdinand. The memory of the deplorable death of this young hero came to strike the imagination and deeply affect all the hearts. Each thought to himself, his eyes filled with tears, Ferdinand is no more. He was the eldest son of the king, our hope, the heir to the throne, sent to France for his education, full of confidence in the French government. He was the victim of the darkest betrayal and the most infamous dishonesty. He was poisoned in Paris by order of that atrocious government and ended his unfortunate days in a foreign land, far from his homeland, from a good father, from a tender mother, and from a dear family. Oh pain, oh sorry, oh irreparable loss. The heart full of these sad reflections. It was proposed to make a salute to the memory of the late Prince Ferdinand by the battery which consecrates his name to the memory of the Haitians. And basically in that last part of the article, it talked about kind of like a private party they had up in the Citadel. And during that party, they honored, apparently one of the cannons up in the Citadel was dedicated to the late Prince Ferdinand. Like I mentioned before, the firstborn son, Christophe's firstborn son, that was kidnapped and killed by the French government around the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. Yes, the French government killed a young black boy around the age of 8, 9, 10 years old. A young child who didn't do nothing to nobody. A young child who was sent to France to get educated. Of course, this was peacetime during the war. The war was not hot during this time. The war was cold. So Christophe thought that it would be suitable to send his son to France around I don't know what year. It was like 1801 or something like that. And then about a year or two later, the French invaded. Of course, they never gave Christophe his son back. And then once independence was secured, they just killed his son. His son was in Paris and they just killed him. Yeah, man. Yeah. And even after they killed his firstborn son, Christophe just kept getting bigger and bigger, better and better, bigger and bigger, better and better. More money, more power on them bitch ass niggas. But yeah, man, in summary, I think this episode was fire. A lot of very exclusive historical text was dropped in this episode. Another one of my classics for sure. Something that we never hear about in school is the fact that, yes, King Henry Christophe, yes, we rescued many of our brothers off them slave ships, man. Ran up in them slave ships, guns drawn, rescued our brothers off them boats, man. I'm telling you, man, the black men of the Haitian Revolutionary period, man, they were built differently, man. Running up on slave ships, rescuing our people, capturing French spies and locking them up and killing them. Man, listen. The black man got to get gangster again, man. The black man got to get his gangster back, man. But anyways, man, It's your boy Never Card Desaline back in the building. Yes, indeed. Like, share, subscribe, cash app in the description. And I'm gone.
Reincarnated, I'm back in original fashion. I left on a horse and came back in the ass. And I left with abundance and came back to famine. We used to be pyramids, now we be rapping. Look how the mighty have fallen. Used to be running, now we be walking. When you be cooning, that's when they applauded. Selling your soul, your sons and your daughter. Gotta come up in this shit, they stuck in the mix. Really, my heart it be breaking. That's why I'm stacking that paper and handle my business. Pass it down in generation. Talking about money and power and building a nation. That's a deadly combination. Never be watching the TV, they pushing agendas. Falsifying information. Know they got malice intentions. Step in the room and I'm feeling the tension. Enemy watching, he blocking my vision. Pay for the check cause I need my redemption. Building my kingdom, I need it protected. Ready for war like a young Money Congo. Never decided the team is the motto. Up in the crib and I'm whipping up waffles. Up in the crib and I'm smoking gelato. I'm chilling, I'm taking my pain and make it ambition. I'm blessed by the gods, but I ain't religious. I came for the power, they came for the bitch. They making no hourly wage, I got business. This shit is an art and they could never be taught. Selling my soul, I can never be bought. Play with my money, I see you ain't caught. Run to the check and I do it for sport. Babylon falling, I go to the source. Packing my luggage and go overseas. Shorty be with me and she so elite. Shorty be chocolate, I'm calling her Hershey. Secret intelligence probably gon' murk me. Don't fuck with friends, cause nigga I'm Haitian. Say the wrong shit and you're smacking their faces.